a closer look at a All right. Um, we are live here with another episode of Project
Project
Console,
Console.
and the title of this cast is the Crack Fiend Gamer, talking about broken game. Mainly talking about broken games because the last couple of years, actually, it goes back even further than that. Um,
I say close to about when Xbox Live was announced.
it goes back. It goes back to. Goes back to the seventh gen. Um, that's when a lot of these consoles were heavily dependent on the internet, and they a lot of publishers were like, well, we can rush these games out and we'll just patch it later. Um, and I guess everybody thought that was a good idea because they've been doing it ever since. So, you know,
I'm mixed. I'm mixed about that personally,
but
cause
before,
some game. I was gonna
but
say that. Never mind. I think we're jumping the hill a little there.
yeah, but before we get started, like to introduce yourself, Jewel.
Hmm, Surely. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Project Console. I'm Joe Riley, the Moonstar, and if anything, we're probably gonna need plenty of glue.
Um, Yeah, this is Kanoshi Abominito, here to say that we love our games busted in HD. So, sort of a brief overview of busted
What's tonight?
games. What?
Of what's on tonight?
Yeah, brief. Our first topic will be the history of a brief history of broken games, our experiences with either games we purchased that were, at least within the last couple generations that were uh, completely broken, or games that or stories that we remember where games were completely busted. Um, I remember I remember it. Of course, we know that a lot of Bethesda games were pretty broken, and when they came out, like Oblivion and Skyrim, they were pretty they were pretty busted when they first launched, and modders, at least on PC, had to come and fix the problem. But so what's when do you what do you remember starting it,
Heh,
or what was the first game that you remember?
that had a problem.
Yeah, that had problems. It was a big kind of a big story.
Um, that's gonna be a tricky one because I'm going way back, but my first tricky one would be some of the would be the ending levels of Sunshine, Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, the
That
difficulty curve on that game just ramped up out of nowhere. I've
I
heard
was
people
saying the
talk
last
about that.
boss was the real mess for me. I mean, I had to hit the weak spot and then I clipped through the weak spot to my death several times. Nearly got game over from that stunt.
Yeah,
And that's from a life total of 30 to 2.
yeah.
So you can imagine how annoyed I
I also,
was
I also,
with
I, al- yeah.
that.
I also remember Call of Duty coming out. I know people always complained about hit detection every year when it came to Call of Duty. Uh, it came out. It came out not necessarily completely busted, but the online wasn't all that great. The hit detection, I remember people complaining about hit detection every year, and it's just you know certain games. We know after a while the Assassin's Creed games started to fall apart, but yet they kept coming out every year with a new game, and people kept buying them. You know, uh, for the most part,
Yeah.
people still
Reason,
keep buying them.
reason
Uh,
why I try to avoid annual games because, well, annual is yearly, and you know how much can be improved within a year? As much as a bug grows an inch.
well, a lot of it, uh, a lot of it just has to do with the publisher, more so than the developer. Uh, I doubt really the developers want to send out a broken game, but the publishers want these ridiculous deadlines, and they pretty much have the mindset that, oh well, we'll just fix it later. We'll just we'll patch in we'll patch in we'll patch it up later.
Yeah, and some things are broken even when they're um patched up or is complete, which kind of goes into its own category, though I'm not sure if this is the one for it.
Well, I mean, I think we've reached a boiling point with a lot of these games.
Likely.
Yeah, I think people have reached a boiling. You had Cyberpunk 2077 come out, somewhat busted last year, and then you had the GTA trilogy, and then Battlefield 2042 come out, pretty wrecked. So I think maybe the addiction is starting to wear off. Maybe it's like, well, you drop $60 on a and $60 for a lot of people's a good chunk of change, and you drop $60 on a game and it comes out and you bring it home or you download it and it's busted, you're gonna be pretty upset. At some point you just gotta be like, I'm not gonna sit here and wait for a game to get fixed when it should have came out ready to play, on day one.
Mm. And even though I at least know that some games deserve a day 1 patch because systems were a little rushed, I at least don't want game patches to be so big that they might as well be the entire game. Look at you, Tony Hawk.
Yeah, that what was that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5? Was that
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Yeah, that game came out completely busted, but that game didn't sell. It was beyond broken,
I was gonna
and
make the joke that that was a flop of a it was a flap and a flop.
I mean, with games like Cyberpunk 2077, a developer that people trusted with the Witcher franchise, you know that game, people were acting as if it was the second coming of Mario, uh, thinking that game was going to be something that It clearly turned out that it wasn't. And sorry, um, sorry, yeah, it was a game.
Hmm.
You know, the way they marketed it and the way it was advertised, and then what actually came out was before the game even uh, when the review embargo lifted, they couldn't even show game footage of the actual game that they were playing. Like they had to
On
show
PC or the consoles.
on nothing. They weren't allowed to show game footage. They were only allowed to show the
Screenshots.
the vertical slices that was at E3 and stuff like that. So
Ooh.
that was pretty suspicious of them. You know, you had to have known something was up, and then when the game finally released, it
Yeah, when
complete
the embargo reaches beyond the date that's released, something is wrong.
yeah yeah. And GTA, there was absolutely no uh, review codes were I don't they were never sent out because you know they announced the game months in advance and didn't show any game footage. When I saw that trailer, when I first saw that trailer, GTA trilogy, I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna this does not look good. I didn't think it looked good when I first saw it. Like there were certain textures and stuff like
They
you
were
know
out of place.
other than that, I mean, there's things that look shinier and the lighting looked a little better, but it just looked off. And apparently, what happened was that they decided to the company that they licensed, um, contracted out to develop the game. Apparently, they decided to put the game in a magic machine, only to realize that the machine had no magic, and it just spat out what you see
Spat out
now.
trash.
Spat out trash. Um, uh, yeah, it was. I guess they put it through some kind of interpreter for when you move a game over to Unreal Engine 4, and
Mm. I thought Frostbite was the engine of nightmares.
yeah, that's usually if you're not doing a Battlefield game. Problem with Frostbite is solely des- it was solely designed to make Battlefield games, and when they tried to, because they were forced to use it with Anthem and Inquisition. um, Inquisition actually went better for them than Anthem, but Anthem was a complete mess trying to use the Frostbite engine. So
Yeah, but still, hearing a disaster like that on a game engine, yikes.
yeah, yeah. So so yeah, that's. I mean, the thing, and going to Battlefield 2042 real quick. Uh, it's gotten so bad for that game that more people are playing Farm Simulator than they are Battlefield 2042. Like,
Did I hear that right?
yeah, more people are playing Farm Simulator than Battlefield 2042. Like that
That's
game
too
is,
much.
yeah, that game is missing a lot of basic features. So it's missing. Obviously, we read off the list last week, and it's a list. The list is like 8 days long.
I
So
thought it was 9.
yeah, maybe more like 8.5 days long.
Dang,
So yeah.
still a lot.
All right. Before we get into the Game Awards stuff, um, apparently Halo's been having Halo Infinite came out. The free beta came out few weeks ago. I guess apparently people are starting to use aimbots. Aimbots is a technology that's used to essentially, well, it's cheating. It's cheating. It's just hardcore cheating. So what they'll do is that um, they'll one of the things that an aim assist will a cheating aim assist will do is allow you to see through walls, so you can see somebody coming out of the corner before they come out of the corner. So it's like having a shotgun almost, or an X-ray vision. So yeah, it's that might become a mess. And I I remember a couple of years ago, or it was last year actually, coming across a video of controllers that have this sort of aim assist cheating technology built within it. Or it's not necessarily a controller; it's a special attachment that allows you to do that stuff. So
Huh?
if they can't do it through software, they'll might end up figuring it. They figured out how to do it through hardware, because you're not actually manipulating the code of the game. So it's not like you're tampering with the code of the game. So
And this is from somebody that hasn't been in the shooting business, but I could say that oh, hearing that kind of bugs me to know that there's certain games that need that in order to be viable.
What anti-cheat software?
The anti-cheat software for gun games, basically.
Yeah, but I mean they've been doing that for years. I used to play a lot of Counter Strike, uh, and Counter Strike was notorious for the amount of cheating that went on with aim bots and stuff like that.
yeah, you just have to learn how to cheat back at some point, because
I
some
mean,
point it's
sorry.
at some point, for older stuff that has private servers, you just gotta figure out a way around it. Essentially cheating back. But with newer games like this, that's gonna
Well,
get really annoying.
I mean, I'll keep it real. Valve has gotten better, like at like preventing stuff like that. Like they've gotten better, but I mean, I can understand where people are like, I'm done with this because I can get it. I mean, you spent X amount of money for your game, and it's fundamentally you can't even really enjoy it because people are cheating.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and it's cheating on both ends. It's not just like the PC players. It's you got people cheating on the other end of the spectrum, like people having special custom uh, uh,
Setups.
controllers for their PC.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's like a lot of PC, a lot of console players like we don't want crossplay because we don't want people cheating on on PC, but there are people who are cheating there are people who are cheating on console.
Oh yeah, yeah. That happens too.
So I don't want to hear that. Oh well, it's them. No, no, both of y'all are doing dirty.
Yep, yep. So, would you like? Is there anything you would like to say about Because we first topic was the brief history of broken games and where it started, and talked about how it started. Pretty much started during the seventh gen, where a lot of these publishers were just throwing games out there, and being like, "Oh, we'll fix it later."
Uh, the only thing I'm gonna say is this: it started to me. It started during the sixth gen with the Xbox. The Xbox did something that neither the PS2 nor the GameCube had, which was basically it had uh, a hard drive.
Yeah.
It had a hard drive, which meant that developers could put out a game that was fundamentally broken. They could put out a game that was fundamentally broken and fix it later. And
Oh
that
yeah.
began with the Xbox.
Yeah.
And it's never been the same since.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's problem is, especially if you're one of these well established publishers like EA or Activision Blizzard or
Yubi.
Ubisoft, you can just be like, well, the game's busted, but we're gonna release it anyway, and we'll fix it. We'll get around to fix it at some point. We'll
yeah,
get
we'll get to it later.
the media will the media will
Eat it up.
will will destroy us, but we'll take it. I mean, we've
Yeah,
been doing this for years, so why stop now?
yeah, it's pretty bad. Um, you know, it's pretty bad, and people keep on making excuses for it. Or they're like, well, this is we just got to accept it. This is just the way it is. But we don't, though. It's like you don't have to accept it. You know, you don't have to accept games coming out that are fundamentally broken.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, you don't have to buy it. You don't have to play it. You could be like, hey, this game kind of sucks. So
but here's the problem, and this all started. You know, a lot of it just seems to be YouTubers specifically, or it just might, and possibly their followers as well. People have to jump on the new Call of Duty trend or the new Battlefield trend or the new trend. Whether it's a fighting game. I mean, Street Fighter Street Fighter Five came out not even half baked. Like that chicken was raw. That chicken
yeah,
was raw. It wasn't in.
yeah.
It definitely wasn't in the oven long
It
enough.
wasn't even pink. It was just kind of like it was
It
like you cut
was
it open and
bubbling.
there was blood coming out. You're
uh,
like, oh,
yeah.
dude, you guys didn't even y'all didn't do jack and squat with this, did you?
Yeah, I think
Um,
Jack left town.
uh,
y'all did nothing with it. Well, I mean, I know that you just said that it began with YouTubers, but I don't think YouTubers because the thing is that YouTube is such a small minority of people who are buying these games. I think the issue is that people have peer pressure and they don't like the typical marketing fallacies. Oh, well, the next edition of this first-person shooter came out, and you want to play with your friends, don't you? You don't want to be left behind. It's like really, I don't need to I'm a grown man. Okay, I don't need to play with other people that much to buy something that I know is fundamentally flawed.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I I mean, the reason I bought Street Fighter is I brought it to. Ended up buying it at a lower price, but even the price I got it at was still too
Too high.
expensive.
Yeah.
It was still too,
For what you got, yeah. I mean, you
yeah.
get a game. It didn't have a story mode.
Nope.
It didn't have it was missing certain characters that have been part of the series for years. It had a smaller roster than usual. It's like all these things are missing, and people just kind of, oh, well, it's Street Fighter. Why don't we hold these companies to a higher set of standards?
Oh, I remember the debate too. The debate about Street Fighter Five versus Splatoon. I was like,
Was there a debate about?
Yeah, but people were
That was
arguing
weird.
about how Splatoon didn't have that much content when it came out. But, and
Yeah, but
they were trying to justify the Street Fighters not having lack of content. How
yeah, the
about people?
One's just starting, the other was a legacy
well,
game.
three things. First of all, Splatoon was a new IP, so there
Yeah.
was no set formula. First, second, Splatoon had everything you want in a multiplayer game. It had single player multiplayer. It had single player. It had multiplayer, and unlike Street Fighter V, it had local area network multiplayer. So you didn't have to be connected to a server to play the damn thing. Now, I will
Oh yeah.
admit, the net code for Splatoon was trash because I remember the first
Mm,
2 3 months. Don't groan. You know sure as I do that there were plenty of matches that you'd be playing the Splatoon in the first 2 or 3 months, and people would drop out the match and you'd lose. Be like you'd start with 4 players, 2 people would drop, and it's like two against
Yeah,
three or four.
it happened to me multiple times with Splatoon.
that didn't happen to me until Splatoon 2.
Well,
I
uh,
mean,
I
you
mean,
have the gold. You had
I'll
the
keep it.
golden server.
I will keep it real. Splatoon, I could understand because it's the first time Nintendo had really tried to make a game in the sphere of like a multiplayer, always on, not always online, but like the online portion is a large portion of the game. They had fixed the servers by like 6 7 months into Splatoon, but then to play Splatoon 2, where the same issues are happening, I'm like, you guys had fixed this before. How did you take a step backwards with the sequel?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's weird. Gaming has just become kind of weird now. At least with yearly releases and those. I like I was saying earlier. I remember when people complained about Call of Duty every year, talking
They
about
still bought it though.
they still bought it.
Yeah.
They complained about hit detection. They complained about this and that. They screamed at the developers to fix their game, and yet they bought it every year. The
They're
sales
still
are,
buying it.
and still buying it. And
Yeah.
more people are playing Call of Duty Vanguard. They're playing Battlefield 2042. In
Yeah, this
fact,
is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Battlefield 2042 is getting blown the you know what out by Farm Simulator.
Yeah, yeah. This is why you don't just push your games out there. And I mean, basically, this is the equivalent of like you as a teacher grabbing some random kid because the kid that you had to give a presentation at a at an academic event, at a scholastic event, didn't make it. So you grab some random kid who's in the same class. Hey, you know this? Okay, go up and give the speech. Like this kid is not prepared. They don't know, they weren't prepared for this. No one told them that there was a chance that they'd have to do it, and you just throw them on stage and then act surprised when it's a disaster.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, I can't believe this kid is having issues. Really? You're surprised by this? Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like I you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and if you say
So,
something, people get mad. They're like, "Oh, I just want to play with my friends." Okay.
yeah, yeah. That is usually how it goes. And that that's the thing about why gaming has relied so about that's the problem with gaming relying so heavily on multiplayer games is you do have that peer pressure where it's like I need to play with my friends, so I'm gonna get this busted game, and we're all
Yeah.
gonna suffer together.
Yeah. I guess it never really bothered me that much because I was an only child. So most of the games I had, I'm like, okay, this has to have a single player because I don't have anyone to play with. And I lived in one of those households where my parents were funny about me inviting people over, so I did it myself. It's like,
Yeah,
so the peer pressure of hey, you can play with your friends, that really doesn't It's the reason why, like Nintendo Online, I'm like, I don't need this.
Yeah,
As long as I got
yeah.
single player games, I got something to do. I don't need to pay $50 for this. I don't like you can take that you can take that expansion pack and take it out of that N64 and put the base thing that came in there back in there. I don't need it.
So, you know how hard it is to get a PlayStation 5 or basically anything that contains a semiconductor. Well, I there was a story that I found. It was on Kotaku talking about how a 19-year-old, was selling a PlayStation 5 and probably for 2 to 3 times the price because this is just how things are in 2021. So they ended up striking up a deal and ended up meeting this individual. And a word of advice to anybody who's gonna meet up with anybody to
Go
sell
someplace
anything,
public.
go somewhere go somewhere public. Meet at a police station or something like that. That's probably the best place to meet in front of a police station. That's because I sold a computer a few months ago, and that's where I met the guy, the police station. Because you're less likely to come across somebody that's gonna try to do you in. Well, this guy did him in. Essentially, he shot him. You know, um,
Right.
and he ended up not taking the PS5, which is weird. Uh,
Yeah, well, I think he shot the dude and then he realized, oh snap, I just shot somebody over a PS5. Yeah, and they're probably gonna trace it to me, and then I'm gonna go to jail.
yeah,
Probably
he's
be
just
put with some dude who's gonna overpower me and turn me into a little girl. Yeah, this was a bad plan. You can't take back shooting somebody. You can take back a lot of things. Once you do physical violence, it's
You're screwed.
you can't really turn the clock back on that. You know,
no,
That's
no,
right.
it's
You're basically screwed.
yeah, yeah,
you can turn back the clock on a lot of things. Like, you short someone some money, you can pay them back. You take someone's property, you can replace it. But once you kill someone, you can never bring that person back.
yeah,
They're gone.
And you better hope that you got that you got a good excuse. Otherwise, say hello to Bubba.
Even if it's a
yeah.
good excuse, I just don't feel comfortable with uh, people being killed,
I kind of wonder
even in
how.
self-defense.
I kind of wonder how much more, with people getting frustrated with the way the supply chain is right now for just about everything. Uh,
I mean,
I wonder how much, because there have been a string of robberies the last couple of weekends. I know there was a big heist that was done in San Francisco.
you mean
It,
the graphics card truck that got knocked over?
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if people just started knocking over graphics card trucks or knocking over, various
Yeah, but
trucks for. But yeah, I mean, there was a heist in San Francisco. I think it was a Louis Vuitton store where like 80 people just charged in and stole millions of dollars worth of goods.
yeah, but
And
I don't think those are millions of dollars worth of goods. Louis Vuitton is high priced because it has Louis Vuitton on it.
yeah,
And the reason those graphics cards got stolen is because like it's a snake feeding on itself. Because the reason the graphics cards are valuable is because these darn cryptocurrency people have raised the prices. That's the
yeah,
reason why. It has nothing to do with the item itself. It's people wanting a quick buck and don't want to work for it, or do something legitimate for it, or whatever. I don't care how you make your money as long as you aren't doing something illegal. But it's like like I said, it's because of a lack of economic opportunity, and also supply is not meeting demand. You know,
yeah.
like Sony and Microsoft, like, so, and at a certain point, like the components just aren't there.
I mean, I, the big apparently, supposedly, not exactly sure, but apparent when it comes to gaming, the biggest winner was the Xbox Series S.
Yeah,
This Black Friday. I mean,
because it's just streaming.
yeah, and it's honestly, aside from its um, low storage space, it's a pretty enticing console.
Fair. I mean, if all you like, here's the thing: if all you want to do is just game, and you don't care about, um, uh, you know, having the best you can get on a console, the streaming consoles are great. Like the Switch is great if you just want to play games. You're not going to get the best quality. The online's going to be kind of trash. But if you just want to play games and you don't want a PC, that's the best you can do. You know?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I'm not going to get mad at people because they don't want to spend, you know, tons of money on some BS.
yeah,
Who am I to
exactly.
judge?
Yeah, yeah. So next week is the Game Awards. Uh, the biggest joke in entertainment. It's happening next week.
I mean, I would say this year's E3 was the biggest joke.
Oh, this year's E3 was an absolute disaster.
I mean, it wasn't actually no, no. This year's E3 was basic. I personally liked it than the year before. Than the not the year before because they didn't have an E3 in 2020, but the 2019 one, which was worse in my opinion. Um, I think the Game Awards are just terrible because it boils down to a popularity contest, and there's no consistency in how they rate games. Like they'll have this thing for best improved game, and like somehow what's it called, Cyberpunk 2077 is up for like 2 game awards, and I'm like, this game doesn't deserve to be awarded for anything.
What I don't understand, it's like what's up with some of these categories? Best esports event, best esports coach, best esports team, best esports athlete, best esports game. Uh, hey, why have shouldn't esports have their own awards show? Like
Yeah, and
this doesn't make
also
any sense.
I don't consider someone who can play a video game well an esports athlete, because here's the thing about an athlete, okay? Athletes have you either have athletes who are naturally talented like Kobe Bryant or Shaquille O'Neal. Like Shaquille O'Neal's like what, 6'9", 6'10". Yao Ming, like these dudes are huge. So they're just gigantic, right? You
Yeah,
like no matter how good at basketball you are, you're not going to be able to do the stuff that someone who's like 7 foot something can do. Just not, because you're not that tall. So like those are people who are like athletes. If you practice, if someone has the time and dedication, they can get good enough to play video games well. Okay, that's not like, if anyone can do it, it's not a sport. Okay,
yeah.
it's a hobby. Okay, if anyone can do it, it's a hobby. It's not a sport.
So most anticipated game, we have Elden Ring. We have let's see, the new God of War game. It looks like the Journey. Crap. All right. Stupid. Here. What? Yeah, Elden Ring. the new God of War, and the new Horizon Zero Dawn game, Breath of the Wild. Uh, Horizon Forbidden West, and Breath of the Wild 2, and Starfield. Uh,
Starfield.
yeah, that game's gonna come out busted for sure.
It's a Bethesda
Microsoft
game, so it's probably going to be trash.
Microsoft's money isn't gonna save that game.
Nope, not at all.
Is there anything that you're actually looking forward to on that list?
I mean, I'm a little bit curious in Elden Ring, but it's
Yeah.
a From Software game, which means it's going to be unnecessarily difficult, and I don't like unnecessarily difficult games.
I don't like how those games control. I don't think they control very well. And I
Well, they
think
don't.
it just doesn't feel like how an action, at least to me, how an action game should control. So it's just, I feel like that's where a lot of its difficulty comes into. It's like, well, it's, the controls suck. That's all. That's part of the difficulty. That's part of the challenge. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, that and just like cheap AI where the enemies just jump you from a corner, stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't like games like that. Like, I don't like games that basically like punish you like that. I don't like that.
But best action game, best action adventure game. We have Guardians of the Galaxy, um, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. Uh, these all seem like games that belong on this list. I don't see any problem with.
The likely one I say would probably get that one is RE8.
Really?
Um,
I'd figure it'd be Psychonauts 2.
yeah, I'd rather do Psychonauts 2 than Resident Evil 8.
I was guessing what the people, I was guessing what those other guys would say.
Then again,
But then again, I would say that if it was fair, Psychonauts 2 would have a better chance.
just on a personal level, I like Psychonauts 2 over RE8. That's it's a bit of a bias there because I
I
like
get you.
Psychonauts 2. Um,
I was just saying that if anything, I was guessing who the winner might be for that category.
I mean, I would want it to be Psychonauts 2, which, I think,
but probably not because Psychonauts is too niche.
yeah. I mean, they might end up giving it to Resident Evil 8, but whatever. Uh, I mean,
We'll
it's just
see.
a glorified commercial.
That's what it is.
I was going to say, considering that you have to remember, 90% of the vote is coming from the council that makes that suggests who's on the nominee list.
Yeah, I made it's because they're like, um, you know, the Oscars is just a popularity contest, and it is. But like I've said this before, with the Oscars, there is a certain level of like you have to meet certain criteria in order to even be there.
A certain
You do not
prestige.
get that from. Well, there's just certain things that have to. There's certain qualifications that have to be met. You can't just be there. You don't get that with the Game Awards. Like, there's no explanation of how did this get to be here. None of your business, because we said so. That's basically what it feels like with the Game Awards. They'll be asking me questions. That's what the Game Awards feels like. It's like, oh, well, don't ask questions about why this is where it is. Who are you to ask me what something is? At least
So,
that's what it feels like.
so we have the best action game, um, Back for Blood, um, that. Oh, Chivalry 2, Deathloop, Far Cry 6, Returnal. Far Cry, people still play those games, huh? Seems like that game kind of came out
Sadly,
and then
yes.
it seems like Far Cry 6 just came out and then nobody nobody really talked about it.
I mean, it's Far Cry. I mean, what it Far Cry is one of those games where it's like, what do you want? It's a game where the same thing is going to happen over and over and over again.
I was gonna say it's like a hamburger.
There's no real changes. Nothing new comes out in the franchise. It's the same thing over and over again.
Let's see. We also have best indie. Um, let's see. Oh, best indie. 12 minutes. Death's Door. Uh, Inscription. Kena Bridge of Spirits. Loop Herd or Loop Head. Have you played any of these games?
Never heard of them.
You never heard of any of these games? Well, I mean, I've heard of
Kena,
12 minutes
I've
and
heard of
Death's Door.
Kena, but that last one
Kena.
I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, it's sorry, I mispronounced. It's called Loop Hero.
Oh, Loop Hero. Yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah.
I heard it's pretty good. It's like a little indie style thing going on there. A lot of people like that game. Don't know why, but they do.
Uh, Best ongoing. Final Fantasy 14 Online, Apex Legend, Fortnite, um, Genshin Impact, Call of Duty, Warzone. I think this will probably more likely go to Final Fantasy 14 Online because of the influx after WoW just after Blizzard
Crap the
just
bed.
yeah.
they just
Well,
they just yeah. I don't think anything from Activision is going to win this year because of
no,
all the stuff that's come out about Activision. Darn the
yeah,
consequences. I just don't see it. And they shouldn't. Like Activision shouldn't get any positive press
yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah.
Period. Um I know some people are going to get angry about that, but I mean, come on. Y'all know that Activision has been a naughty boy over the last few, you know. Actually, I shouldn't say few. Over the last years. So they got to pay the price, you know. You shouldn't be giving accolades to people who do stuff like that. Cuz it's wrong.
So the best score in music, we have the Artful Escape, Cyberpunk 2077, Deathloop, Guardians of the Galaxy, Near Replicant. Any of those scores, if you've played any of those games, stick out to you? Any of
I mean, Cyberpunk's music is pretty good. Not great, but pretty good.
yeah. And I think the thing about Guardians of the Galaxy, like, it's kind of weird hearing '80s music in a you know futuristic futuristic space game, but I don't I don't know how or why exactly, but it just fits for some reason.
Well, considering that they're doing a combination of Peter Quill from the comics and Peter Quill from the movies, it fits. Because remember, in the movies, he's like, he got snatched from the '80s. So
Yeah,
for him, like that's the music that he likes listening to.
yeah, yeah.
So that makes sense. And I mean, look, the '80s was a good time for music. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing is, right? There's a. I used to hate '80s music, but you know, now that I look back on some of that music, it's like it wasn't definitely wasn't all bad.
Yeah, I mean, you had stuff like Michael Jackson,
Yeah,
stuff from. You had like a lot of really cool stuff coming from like like R&B was transitioning away from the disco era over to like the stuff we have now. You had like rap and hip hop were taking off. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff coming out in the '80s. I'm not saying it all was good, but a lot of it was pretty good.
yeah, yeah. Best art direction. Again, the Artful Escape, Deathloop, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Um, for me, it's a kind of a toss up between. I think I would probably get the edge to Psychonauts 2, but I did like the art that they were going with. At least at least when it came to the cutscenes, like the animation, because that the people that made Kena Bridge of Spirits were the same people who did that Majora's Mask short video. So yeah, well, what do you guys think?
Um, I mean, I'm gonna have to go with Psychonauts because Psychonauts art style is so different from everything else.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not like there's nothing else like Psychonauts' art style. Like you don't see it anyplace else except there.
yeah,
Whereas everything else is kind of like mimicked in other things, kind of, sort of, a little
yeah.
bit, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
Let's see. Best narrative. Deathloop. It Takes Two. Um, Life is Strange. True Color. Uh, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy and Psychonauts 2. Marvel's, uh, for me, probably Psychonauts 2, but Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy, that game really surprised me and how they handled that. Has really surprised me so far and how they've handled the story.
I haven't played it yet. I've seen people playing it, and I'm like, I need to get into that, but it's like, there's so many games to play right now.
Yeah.
You know. Plus, I've been going back and playing old stuff, and it just,
Yeah, it's just too many games. It's too many games.
there's too many games. Too many games to play. Just the people are like, oh, there's nothing to play. I don't. We don't live in the same
That's
universe
hard to believe.
because there's a lot of stuff to play.
Best game direction.
I know.
That just seems a bit redundant. Um, as best game direction, Deathloop, It Takes Two, Returnal, Psychonauts 2, uh, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I guess this category is more focused on gameplay. Have you guys?
Game direction. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't. That seems kind of vague. That seems really ambiguous.
Exactly.
That's the problem with this award shows. This award show.
If they don't describe what's in the category, be ready for it to be a fluff
The thing
category.
is that you don't know what like. There's no clear categorization between what is in and not in, and because there's no clear categorization, you don't know what needs to be there.
How it's rated.
Yeah, there's no. It's like, okay, if someone says this is the best special, like you go to the Oscars, they say best special effects. Hey, that means that a movie has great special effects, right? Or they say best score.
They have great graphics,
Or they
basically.
well, no, special effects could be like is broken
I was
down
saying basically.
is broken down into it could be best like makeup. It could be actual like CGI. It could be like practical effects. Like it's broken down, and then they show the movies and they show a clip of what they're talking about. It's like, okay, so I could see why that would be up for best special effects. But there's some stuff going on where I'm just like, they're just
Really?
putting stuff in these categories, and I'm like, okay, well, why is the Game Awards is stupid?
Because the best game, it seems redundant from best narrative because the gameplay is part of the narrative for a lot of games. So
Especially now when games are trying to be like movies and not games.
I don't. This section is this category's dumb.
Well, I wouldn't say it's dumb. It's just like you can clearly tell that the Game Awards hasn't really been properly formatted,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and they keep on doing it. Like, Jeff Keighley's like, yeah, we want to make the Game Awards into something serious. Okay, that's cool, but like, I'll take it seriously when you guys actually have a serious um like rules for how things are supposed to be. Like, I'm tired of them just throwing some stuff together and being like, yeah, we're gonna turn this. This is the Game Awards. You should take us seriously just because.
Hmm.
So best mobile game, Fantasian, Genshin Impact, League of Legends, Wild Rift, um, Marvel Future
Oh boy.
Revolution, and Pokemon Unite. Wasn't Pokemon Unite hated vehemently?
Oh, it was hated for sure.
Yeah, a
But
lot of
then
people didn't
people,
like it.
but then people somehow turned 180 on me with that line, and I even called them out on it because that game was, as I called it out, so MOBA heavy. I mean, MOBA heavy with microtransactions. It was ridiculous.
Well, let's keep it real. Pokemon has a fan base that, I mean, I've said it on my own cast. Like, literally, the Pokemon company could drop a
They
deuce in
could
a
get away with
box.
murder.
They could drop a deuce in a box, and Pokemon fans would buy it because it says Pokemon on it. Oh, it's got Pokemon on it. I'm gonna buy it because it says Pokemon.
Yeah,
I hope I could make a product that was so haphazardly made.
Happer and
Well, I was gonna say haphazardly made and ill conceived, and still have people spend a lot of money on it. I wish I could have that level of um, product, but I don't. So tis what it is.
I
yeah.
don't know why they have so many categories. Like this show is usually 3 hours long. Like who's sitting through all this nonsense?
Man, good. Look, that the Game Awards is an ego trip for Jeff Keighley because he wants video games to be taken seriously, and he thinks that making video games taken seriously means that it has to have some type of nonsensical long award ceremony in order to make game developers feel good about themselves. But what he doesn't realize is that he wanted an equivalent to the Oscars, but for games. But the problem is that uh, like if you're gonna do that, the Oscars has a certain level of prestige associated with it because they're rules. They're clear cut rules to how things are supposed to be and what gets into categories and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's perfect, but they exist. You don't get that with
The VGAs.
you don't get that with the VGAs because there's games and categories. They're like this is. I remember one year they had best RPG and they had tons of games up there that weren't even RPGs.
Yeah, yeah. Well, guess what, guys? They're still making VR and AR games. AR games I get, but apparently, Hitman, Hitman 3, I Expect You to Die 2, uh, Lone Echo
Cool name.
2. What?
That's a cool name.
Yeah.
Like you get to play a villain. Do you expect me to talk, Goldfinger? No, I expect you to die. Well, seeing that you're about to cut my naughty bits in half, I mean, I can tell you whatever you need to know. Just don't cut my naughty bits in half.
Resident Evil 4 and Sniper Elite VR.
So tired of VR.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not exactly where I would like it. When I envision VR, it's definitely not where. We're definitely years away from what I would actually want it to be.
Good.
Yeah, I just
Actually have.
like to just put like a pair of like sunglasses on your face and it being wireless. And that's how
I
you
mean,
experience
We're
like
not
I
there yet.
just want a good game. There's only one game that I've played that used VR where I was like, okay, this makes sense for it to be in VR, and that was
Alex.
that was Half-Life Alyx.
yeah.
I knew it.
But Half-Life Alyx is legitimately a good game. So it's like, oh, it's in VR. Okay, I can understand that. But I mean, some of these people put stuff in VR, and I'm like, why is this VR? This did need to be VR. Come on, man.
Best community supported game. Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, No Man's Sky. More than likely, it's probably going to go to Final Fantasy 14, just because
Yeah,
of
After what happened with WoW,
after what
I
happened
wouldn't be
with WoW.
surprised.
Yeah,
let me put it this way: if there is any game that is contentiously going up against anything from Activision Blizzard, I guarantee the winner is probably going to be the non-active because Activision Blizzard is just it's too shady.
yeah, yeah.
They've been too bad. They've been too naughty. Um, so they've been messing up too much.
I'm not seeing best RPG.
Oh boy.
I want to see best. I don't want to see best RPG. I don't want to see anything. You know,
Ever.
probably going to be some BS. It's like that's not an RPG. Because I remember that one year we went through the list. It's like that's not an RPG. There was like
Yeah.
all these games. These aren't RPGs. Like I'm 100% with you, but I know RPGs.
Well,
Uh-huh.
Cyberpunk 2070. This is the best role playing category.
Seriously, Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, that was a.
You've got to be kidding me.
So I don't know why this. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know why this game got nominated for everything when it came out. When it came out half baked last year, but
I agree.
the the standards just get lower and lower. Uh, Monster Hunter Rise, isn't that like a hunting and gathering game? It's not really.
More of a.
And
It's more of an action game, like a grindy action game
It's
versus
more like a
like an
resource,
RPG.
more of a resource collecting game.
Yeah, it's great because you fight monsters. You fight monsters in order
uh-huh.
to get better equipment so that you can fight stronger monsters in order to get better equipment. It's a never-ending gameplay loop of fighting in order to get stronger so that you can fight stronger monsters to get better stuff. It's which to me just it's too much like the old it's too much like the old uh uh Fantasy Star Online,
Yeah.
where it's just this never-ending loop of grinding in order to get stronger so that you can fight tougher enemies. I don't like games like that. I don't like games that force you to grind to that level. That's not fun to me. I know some people like stuff like that, but I'm not one of those people. So to me, I'm just like, okay. But
Yeah.
that's my own personal opinion.
Now we got Scarlet Nexus, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Tales of Arise. At least
I
three of
tell
those
you, Tales
games.
of Arise shouldn't be on that list because Tales of Arise is not that good.
uh,
It's not terrible, but it's not, it's not great. It really
yeah.
is not great.
Um, Hopefully it goes to Shin Megami 5, since it seems
Probably
to
not
be
though.
the most traditional out of all of these. But
Yeah, it's not going to Megaton because Megaton's only on one console.
yeah, rumor has it that I guess it's gonna go to other places, which you know
I mean, that's a smart move, but
it'll create a bigger audience, more people get to play it.
I mean, it's a smart move. But to be fair, Shin Megami Tensei has primarily been like the series began on Nintendo consoles, so I don't see it like not going to other places. Because Shin Megami Tensei 4 didn't go other places. It was only on the Switch. I mean, it was only on
3DS.
the 3DS. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So
I mean, they re-released one of the older games for everything. I think right. It
uh,
came to PC.
Shin Megami Tensei 3.
Yeah.
But that was like that game is old. That game came out on the PS2, man.
Oh, okay.
That game is yeah,
Ancient.
that's a completely different beast.
Okay, so game of the year is really weird this year. So we have Deathloop, uh, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil 8. Kind of a weird. I don't know. It's just not the typical game of the year list that
I
I've seen the
feel at
past few
least more.
years.
I at least feel a little more confident of the game of the year being a good one.
I mean,
I
Deathloop
mean,
is pretty
between
good.
Psychonauts, Metroid, and Resident Evil, I'm kind of I'm kind of at least happy of that kind of variety.
I
Yeah,
mean, I would rather go with Deathloop because Deathloop is a legitimately good game.
This coming from
Um,
somebody that likes Psychonauts 2 is hoping for Deathloop.
yeah, but the thing is, like, I like Psychonauts 2, but I wouldn't say it's game of the year material. Game of the year denotes a game that is so good that, like, literally, if all you had to play was just that one game, you'd be good. If all I had to play was Psychonauts 2, I'd probably be happy for like a month, and then I'd want to play something else.
yeah,
Okay. Game of the year, like a game of the year game is the type of game like remember when you were a kid and you only got like that one game at Christmas and maybe another game for your birthday? That was all you had and you were just happy with it.
yeah,
It's got to be the type of game that if you all you had to be able to do was to play that one game, you'd be happy with it. And I like Psychonauts 2. I like Metroid 5, but I would not want to play those games all year.
yeah. I'm looking at It Takes Two. This looks pretty interesting.
It's made by that developer who at that one Gaming Awards was like, uh, F the Oscars.
Oh,
That guy, the
oh,
F the Oscars guy. that guy,
yeah,
that guy who was like, man, why would you say that? Like seriously, why would you even say that? But
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, looks pretty fun. It looks a lot more interesting than that heist game that he made.
Yeah, yeah. Like that game was a good idea. It just wasn't well executed. Like so
Yeah,
many games, because the end of the game just kind of falls apart.
yeah. Can you
So,
play the single? Can you play this game single player? Or can you?
oh yeah, yeah, you can. You
Okay.
basically like an AI controls the other character for a little bit while you're doing stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I might check that game out at some point. Yeah, but I got too many games to play right now.
Man, that's everyone. That's why I'm like, everyone's like, oh man, what are you gonna play? It's like I have too much stuff to play.
Yeah,
Plus, I've been
yeah,
going back and playing other stuff. Like at any given point, I'm going back and playing. Like right now, I'm doing a playthrough of GTA San Andreas,
yeah.
and that game has a lot of content.
You got the yeah, they released the old game. They re-released the old games, didn't they?
Oh no, no, I'm not playing the re-release games. I'm playing the version that I bought off of Steam years ago.
Oh no, I'm not talking. I thought they put the not the remake, but the older games back on
They're
their
back on the Rockstar launcher, but I'm
yeah.
not playing those games on the Rockstar launcher because, frankly speaking,
Uh-huh.
uh, I don't really, I don't have this love affair with Rockstar that some people do. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I think they made some of their best games during the sixth gen, and I think the sixth and seventh gen, and I think that Rockstar has kind of been resting on their laurels and going a little bit downhill for a while now. Know some people are going to disagree when they hear that, but uh, and that's your opinion. You're allowed to have an opinion, but I think Rockstar has just kind of like been they've been messing up a little bit lately.
So apparently there's a rumor that I don't think it's a rumor, but apparently Jeff Keighley teased that there's going to be this big announcement, and it's an announcement he's been working on the past 2.5 years.
He's
Oh God.
retiring, and we don't have to see his face anymore.
Now, that would be nice, but
We can hope.
apparently it's a big game announcement, and everybody thinks it's Breath of the Wild 2, and I'm just kind of like, you people are out of your mind. Don't
I
think
was
that's gonna
about to say,
happen.
out of
Okay,
their mind, more like thirsty.
let,
They,
let me
the,
let let's break this down. Why would Nintendo announce their big holiday game for next year, probably, at the Game Awards when they could have their own direct and show it off whenever? Like, people are stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some people are so thirsty for some content.
Nintendo's kind of weird now. I mean, they could, but I just don't see it being. I just don't see it happening.
No,
I could
that it
see.
just. No, sorry. Go ahead.
I could see it being Senua Hellblade 2 possibly, because that was a game that was teased when they announced the Xbox Series X, or it could be. I guess it really could be anything, but I just because the trailer that they showed, the way they acted about that vertical slice that they showed during E3 this year seemed like a kind of an early build. So I I don't know. I wouldn't put a lot of faith in it. I wouldn't put a lot of faith in it happening. The remember, we could end up with a Cranky Kong 2.0. So
That would actually be the funniest thing to ever happen at the Game Awards.
I'd be cool with it. I mean, like, let me put it this way. The days of me getting excited about video game award shows are long behind me. I don't care. I'm not gonna watch the Game Awards. I'll read the minutes after it comes out, and I'll be like, yeah, I guess. Like, I would rather watch the PC gaming show than the video game awards.
yeah, like I said, it's the biggest joke in entertainment. The Game Awards, one of the biggest jokes in entertainment.
Just wasting up people's time with BS. Hey guys, guess what? We're going to talk about some games that most people didn't buy this year. Yay! I don't care, man.
Eat away.
The only good thing about the Video Game Awards was that time that Jeff Keighley single-handedly destroyed the Xbox One.
That was pretty
funny. Courtesy of Don Metric.
Yeah. Don Metric with the assist.
Don Metric with that. We have a device for people like that. It's called the 360. I was like, dude, you said that out loud. Why would you say that out loud? Like, why would you do that?
He tried to fix it, but it was too late.
It was too late. Yeah, it was too late. It was like, man, you messed up, didn't you?
Yeah.
I felt like Bill Duke in that movie that I referenced on my placard, where the guy's like, you done effed up, right? You know you done effed up. Like, I'm like, dude, I remember watching that at Gamers at Large, and we were like, yeah. When he said that, I was like, he's not gonna have his job next month. And within 2 weeks, he was gone.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, he's not gonna have a job next week. He is gone.
Yeah, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, too many chefs in the kitchen with that console.
I mean, I think that's a part of it. I also think that I think they were bent and bound on making Xbox into the next Wii, with like this TV aspect and stuff like that. And the thing is, people like it was like the wrong horse to bet on. It's like people don't care. Like, if people want television, they'll just go and play, like, go watch TV. Like, it's a lot of stupid stuff. It's like, but that was the only exciting thing. Also, seeing people get mad at Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze being shown off.
That was hilarious.
And I'm gonna keep it real. I don't even really like Tropical. I don't think Tropical Freeze is that great of a Donkey Kong Country game. But seeing people get angry about it made me. Was fun.
I say it's not a bad game. Kind of middle of the road, but the laughs. It was fun.
People were hurt.
People getting angry about it made me happy. Because just seeing them get angry, I was like, yeah, your tears make me stronger. They're like, show Cranky Kong. I'm like, come on.
They were so hoping that Nintendo was going to show their next big Zelda game. They were like talking about how, oh man, look at all these hints that they've been dropping with the pens and whatnot. It's just like, are you guys you guys are off your rocker. I'm sure they carry those pens.
Man, it's like I just said. Why would they show their big game at someone else's award when they could show it when they want to? Doesn't even make any sense. People just thirsty for information, because for a company that all these gamers don't like, they really are interested in what they're going to say and do.
It is really weird. It is really weird that people, the industry's whipping boy, or, the the people always trying to predict, when they're gonna
What's coming up?
Yeah,
fall apart. They're always interested in what they're gonna announce. It's just
yeah.
yeah,
Nintendo's always going to fail. I
yeah.
mean, and the thing is, most of the people who like to say Nintendo's going to fail, they don't get on them on things where it's like, okay, this is a legitimate problem that this company has. Like, it's a legitimate problem that their online kind of stinks.
Yeah.
That's a legitimate problem. It's a legitimate problem that um, that Nintendo's hardware kind of sometimes holds back their software. But I mean, there's some stuff where they're like, "Yeah, this is terrible." I'm like, "Oh, I don't see how that's a problem."
Yeah, people. I just remember seeing people throw their Wii U's out the window, crying foul.
Like, what are you crying about,
Man.
man? Stop being a whiny. You know what? It rhymes with ditch. Um. So yeah, I mean, I think that people need to calm down and stop being wimps and stop
I was
holding.
gonna say, stop being a soggy loaf of bread.
I hope Nintendo shows this off. What if you're a company that you can put out some BS and people will watch it because it has your name on it? Why would you show off your latest and greatest at the Game Awards when you can put out your
Only if
own
you,
thing anytime you want to and no one's gonna say a word?
yeah, I was gonna say only if you want teabag the crowd, but I don't think that they're that greedy for that.
Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. I don't get it. Why people are like, yeah, man, they're gonna show this off. No, they aren't. Stop being thirsty.
Yeah, I mean, come on, get some get some water, please.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I I expect massive amounts of tears and disappointment when it's something they didn't want, like it usually is.
These people always get hyped up over BS. There's no evidence that any of this is a thing. Yet people are going to get hyped up about it anyway because And here's the hilarious thing: people who most of them don't even like Nintendo.
Yeah,
They're
that's
thirsty
weird. Yeah.
for Nintendo.
No, these are the same people who are like, I don't like Nintendo, and yet these are the same people who are like, I don't like Nintendo, but I totally want to hear about what's coming out next. I'm like, I don't get that.
I don't get it either. It's like I don't like Nintendo, but they should have stronger hardware, and they should have
They should go third party.
all this third party support. It's like, I mean, you wouldn't buy their system if they had stronger hardware, and if they had stronger third party support.
Exactly.
But
Like, I don't get it. I really don't. It's like someone saying, "Hey, man, that girl over there, she needs to have a butt surgery." Yeah, but you aren't going to date her anyway. Yeah, but still, she needs to have butt surgery. It's like, no, no,
yeah, it
no.
doesn't.
What does it
Yeah,
matter to you? You're not going with her.
yeah, yeah.
Enough
Why do you
said.
care? Look, like I said, and there are some legitimate things. Like, there's legitimate things to be like, yeah, Nintendo needs to do this, 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 and this. But I mean, what these people are like going on and on about, I'm like, come on, man, stop it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They need stronger hardware. Oh, no. Listen, okay. Nintendo doesn't need stronger hardware. They just need to prioritize what they're basically having their hardware do. Now, like I said, a legit concern with Nintendo, like I said, I have played first-party Nintendo games on the Switch that are struggling to run on their own hardware. Not second-party hardware, not second-party games, not third-party games, first-party games. Now, that's a legit thing. But if you're one of these people who just plays like all the stuff you play on your consoles are third-party games, and you think Nintendo needs to have stronger hardware just to play third-party games on their hardware,
You kind of have a problem.
go play it on PC. Then you can play it you can have as many features as you want.
Yeah.
Most of them you don't have to pay for.
Yeah, it's I don't know. But the Game Awards, I'm not gonna be streaming it. I gotta work the day after. I'm not gonna be staying up until wee hours of the night, watching a bunch of commercials and watching
Eh.
a bunch of watching as games get awarded that don't deserve it, like Cyberpunk 2077, or
Yeah.
or watch as standards just get lower and lower, or better yet, watch another award show where there is no standards.
Look, I'm going to keep it real. If Cyberpunk 2077 had done something amazing if they, like this year, if they had turned that game around and added the features that should have been there and substantially changed like stuff that was stripped out to get it ready for shipping in their eyes, if that stuff had been added this year, I would say, okay, yeah, they really turned this game around. They haven't done that. They've basically been spending this year doing these minor patch upgrades on a game that was substantially broken when it first came out. And I mean, like, the only reason it's gotten positive reviews is because the price was cut during Black Friday and it went from $60 to $30. Now, I paid $50 for my copy, so I didn't pay full price either. So, but if you didn't pay full price for this game, of course you're not going to be as salty. But if you paid $60 for this,
your sodium is going to be high.
You deserve to be mad.
Yeah,
you got gypped.
Gypped? I would say robbed would be the more accurate word.
No, because you spent your money. And to be fair, this is the first time CD Projekt Red has come out with a game that was fundamentally just
broken.
Jacked from the start. Like, the first Witcher was kind of janky, but it wasn't fundamentally broken. The Witcher 2 was janky, but it wasn't fundamentally broken. The Witcher 3 was janky, but wasn't fundamentally broken. This game was fundamentally broken at launch.
Oh man, the glitches I've seen last year, those were hilarious.
People parking they're parking a motorcycle and the car just flips in the sky and flies away. The starting missions that were supposed to be life paths where things legitimately change from point A to point B. Gone. Now it's each life path is just a slightly different opening origin scene. And that's about it. Nothing really unique or interesting going on there. All this stuff was stripped out so they could ship it out in December for a game that was, like I said, it was fundamentally flawed.
Yeah, they should have just left it in the cooker for a couple more years.
I wouldn't say they should have been launching Cyberpunk 2077 this year.
Yeah,
they should have been launching it this year. It should have been coming out this year, but they were like, we gotta make our investors happy. And I'm like,
Really?
Trying to make your investors happy doesn't always work. I mean, Take-Two learned that last week with going cheap going cheap, going with a cheap port studio to port the games that made GTA a brand name.
Well, the thing is, right? So the game's 50% off on Steam.
Yep.
Um, and the thing is, it's like they fixed enough where now they have a very positive review. Um, so yeah, it probably would have been better if it came out this year, because then even if it was in the state that it is, and now if it came out this year, you wouldn't have people as angry they were last year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm just saying that, and here's the thing, Cyberpunk 2077, there are some excuses for it. For example, work in earnest didn't really start on that game until like 18 months before it released. So really, it only had about 2 years of hard development on the final build. Now, for a game that was in the BSing around stage and just coming up with ideas and throwing stuff together, for you not to really be in earnest working on it until 2 years before it comes out, for what they came out with, that's it's amazing what they were able to get accomplished. But that game needed at least another year in the oven. And capitalism, it does not. It's if you're expecting capitalism to mean better products, you are insane.
yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I feel sorry for the people because, like I said, in video games, all you have is your good name. You know, like all you have is your reputation. It's the reason why Nintendo can get away with a lot of stuff is because for a long time, if Nintendo had a first party game, you knew it was going to run well on the hardware. No crashes, no bugs, no well, I mean, Nintendo games have bugs, but no game breaking bugs where it's like I can't beat this game. You knew you were going to get a certain level of quality, which is why I was surprised when I got the Switch and like I'm playing like Breath of the Wild, the game crashed on me twice. Or I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and I fast travel to a place and the game is struggling to load an area and then crashes.
Yeah,
You know. So all you have is your reputation.
yeah,
Hmm.
Like Sega is known for their bad games.
I was going to make the joke, their advertisement of flash processing.
Well, just bad games. Like Sega makes bad games. They make games that's like, okay, this game sucks. It's not very good. No, I was never a Sega fan, so I didn't buy into the Sega. Like some of Sega's games are great, some of their games aren't good. But I can also be realistic. Like I was talking with a friend of mine. I said I like the N64, but I'm also an RPG fan, so I suffered during the N64 era with just an N64 for loving RPGs, because there's only like 6 RPGs on the N64, and only 3 of them are good.
yeah,
That's 50-50.
Yeah, but I mean, let me put it this way: there's like on a good day, there's like 50 quality RPGs on the PlayStation of the same gen. Heck, there's like 4 good RPGs on the Sega Saturn, which beats the N64. So for an RPG head like me, the N64 was a tough time to get through because I could only play so many kart racers before I lose my mind.
yeah,
And I had all the RPGs on the N64. I had Hybrid Heaven. I had Iden
Ogre.
Chronicles: The First Mage. I had Ogre Battle 64.
Quest 64.
I had Quest 64. I had Paper Mario 64. And I also had, I'm going to throw it in there because you had levels and you did level up. I had Gauntlet Legends. Those are all the RPGs you had on the system. And only 3 of those were good. And I'm not including Paper Mario 64 because, like, here's the thing. If all you had was an N64, Paper Mario 64 is a great RPG. But if you put it in the same category as some of the great RPGs of the 5th gen, Paper Mario is basic. Okay? It's like my first RPG. It doesn't do anything. I mean, like even some of Sony's first party games, like Legend of Dragoon is a better RPG than Paper Mario 64.
Yeah, that was. I never really played that one.
Legend of Dragoon's pretty good.
No, Paper Mario 64. I played the Thousand Year Door, which, many people say is the best one.
It is. Not gonna lie, it is.
But is there anything else you guys like to expound upon the topics that we've covered, or anything else you'd like to bring up before we call it a night?
I got nothing.
And that's
I don't think we got anything, but if anything, I'll do the advertisements for you too. Thank you for joining us on Project Console. Don't forget that Mr. Red Fox is going to be hosting the BS Busters Midweek podcast for the first of the final month of the year, tomorrow at 7:30.
That's correct. That's it. She already said it.
oh, okay. This is Kanoshi Abominita here with another closing out another episode of Project Console. The Crack Fiend Gamer, and with that, we are out of here. Have a nice night.